आप्यायन्तु ममाङ्गानि वाक्प्राणश्चक्षु श्रोत्रमथो बलमेन्द्रियाणि च सर्वाणि सर्वं ब्रह्मोपनिषदम् माहं ब्रह्म निराकुर्याम् मा ब्रह्म निराकरोत् अनिराकरणमस्तु अनिराकरणं मेस्तु तदात्मनि निरते य उपनिषत्सु धर्मास्ते मयि सन्तु ते मयि सन्तु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ May all my limbs attain strength. May the body, the mind, all the sensory and motor organs become perfected, efficient. All is verily the one without second, blissful, beyond time and space, existence itself. Let me never deny this truth of oneness of existence. May this truth never reject me either. I am aware that experiencing this truth requires acquiring all the virtues spoken of by the scriptures. May all those virtues be with me. Om peace, peace, peace. Let us meditate on the truth of this oneness by imagining that we are like ice cubes kept in warm weather. I see, experience, I am separate from others. I feel my identity. This is my shape. This is my size. I am bigger than some, smaller than some others. Some are closer to me, some are farther to me. But as these cubes are melting, I feel my shape is changing. My identity is changing. My association with others, other cubes is changing. Before long, I see that this separate I was just an illusion. All is the same one substance. With this realization, one arrives at the absolute bliss, ultimate peace, highest knowledge. Om, peace, peace, peace. So let us begin today's discussion with our regular opening chant, which is the first verse of this great treatise. जन्माद्यस्य यतोऽन्वयादितरतश्चार्थेष्वभिज्ञस्वराट् तेने ब्रह्महृदाय आदिकवये मुह्यन्ति यत्सूरयः तेजो वारिमृदां यथा विनिमयो यत्र त्रिसर्गो मृषा धाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्तकुहकम् सत्यं परं धीमहि. That from whom creation, sustenance, and dissolution of the universe take place, who is both the instrumental and material cause of it, who is omniscient, is the only one having self mastery, being the one independent entity, who illumined the mind of Brahma with the Vedic revelation, whose wisdom is the wonder of even the greatest sages, in whom the world of the three gunas subsists, just as the combination of materials like fire, water, and earth subsist in their causes without changing their elemental nature, in whose consciousness there is nothing false. On that truth supreme we meditate. So we were discussing the story of Bharata and this illumined man, uh, freed from all attachments, desires, and so forth, now was just behaving as a very ordinary rustic person, not taking care of his body, and was not getting associated with anything, was picked up by the king and his party for bearing the palanquin. And we saw that how there was this uh, Bharata was not able to actually carry the palanquin in the right way, and so the king was chiding him first, then instructing him, and then threatening him. So it is. Then Bharata started talking, and then the king realized that he is a man of transcendental wisdom, tremendous understanding. And so he got down from the palanquin and saluting him, started praising him, and then Bharata uh, then instructed him. The main question that we have is that this world appears okay to be so real. It is unreal, we read in the books, and we take the words of scriptures that with reverence. But there is this tremendous grip of the reality of this world that we observe, we live, we experience. And so any negation of it, even if one tries to believe, is not possible. So the king has questioned Bharata's assertion that these things like I am tired and so forth, you are tired, I am tired, I am the master, you are the servant, all these things are just mere uh, you know, appearances, phenomenally being as a phenomena you see it, like magic is seen, but there is no real substance to it. So, that being the case, uh, neither in the truth you are not the master, I am not the servant. All these things are just appearances which are unreal. So, with this, now we saw last time that there is this, he explains to him that this is the knower and the known phenomena. Our life goes uh, always subject and object. It is all these things that we see as known. If we go a little deeper, and that is the special feature of human beings, that they don't want to remain just on this superficial understanding. They want to go deeper. And that is how we see the science progresses. Many things at depth they get discovered by the human spirit of inquiry. So, this spirit of inquiry, when applied to this apparent division of perceived and the perceiver, the object and the subject, then we easily see that this body is also perceived and not the perceiver. So, also the subtle body or the mind, intellect, etc., they are also perceived and not the perceiver. This part is based on the discussion in the 13th chapter of Bhagavad Gita called the Kshetra Kshetrajna Yoga, means by analyzing the connection between the knower and the known, one realizes the truth. One experiences the truth if we go in right direction. So this is the knower and the known, and it is told right there in the beginning, idam shariram kaunteya kshetramityabhidhiyate, that this body and whatever is part of this body, that is this world. Mm. And the mind, all this is part of this body. Mind is a subtle body. That is how Vedanta does not really call the mind different from body, just subtler matter. That's all that constitutes the mind. It is called, therefore, subtle body. And then the gross body and the world that is perceived, that also is the same thing, just the body. And so that is all kshetra. So in the verse, a few verses after that, it is described that what is kshetra, yad vikari yataschayat, means that which is subject to change. Mm. So, and that you can say this. So that is yataschayat. Very beautiful expression, really. And that what can be said at this, pointed that this is this, that is all kshetra. What it means is it is not knower, it is known. Like I would say, this Naomi is a wonderful devotee. So it is, one can point out to Naomi. So that is a something that is known, not the knower. But for Naomi, she sees that Swami is known, not the knower. Also, we see our body, this body is well, or this body is sick, this body is young, this body is old, and so forth. We uh, tell so many things about it as this. So it is known, not the knower. So also we speak like that with mind. My mind is not good today. My mood is not right today. What does it mean? I am feeling depressed today. So it is like that. It is again something that is known, not the knower. So all that we can know, speak about, or can point out is known. And then who is the knower? A very tremendous statement, counterintuitive, comes there, that kshetrajnam chapi mam vidhi sarva kshetreshu bharata. Oh Arjuna, he is addressed as Bharata, that you know that in all bodies, the knower actually is one and the same. It is very much against our common understanding. It is like Vrishali says, there is one knower in me and another in Jitendra. We have different knowers, therefore different perceptions, different understandings. Mm. uh, Sounds reasonable, but when you understand that neither the body nor the mind are knowers, now see what can distinguish between the two. It is only the distinctions in the matter. The knower is one and the same, and that is God. The true knower in each being is God. So, what a beautiful way of experiencing God. Hmm? The God is the knower. Whenever I feel or say, I know, that is God. It is God is the knower, the Kshetrajna. in all different bodies, sarvakshetrishu. So it is other things that are perceived are just the movements of mind, and then they give rise to corresponding actions. There is the sensory, these organs, they bring the information, and then the mind accordingly makes these movements, decides, and then action is propelled through the motor organs. And that is how this universe we see. So, uh, this all was explained, but it is sadhana is required. That for liberation, O king, he is telling the king that you won't understand this till one has to become non attached through the discharge of all duties as an offering to the Lord. And the six enemies are to be conquered, like a lion needs to be, put under this control. So these enemies are very powerful. The lust, greed, and so forth. Not easy to win over them. So one has to really be determined and strong with the strength of the God. It is that is how one can conquer them, and then only this truth will become actually experiential. Till then, we may intellectually understand, but this is to be, remembered here that the intellectual understanding is incapable of erasing the experience. It is the stronger wins, you say. So, if you say, take a piece of chalk and rub on the granite, will the granite get scratches or the chalk will get scratches? If you keep on rubbing, will granite g- gets rubbed away or the chalk will gradually vanish? The chalk vanishes. So, intellectual understanding is weaker compared to the testimony that the experience furnishes. That is why, even though we hear, we understand, and we try to believe, it does not become functional in life till our experiences changes. And this experience, uh, this change in the experience, it occurs only through practice of certain disciplines, bringing in the virtues. That is why in the beginning of Friday class we pray in the Shanti Mantra that all these virtues be in my life. Without these virtues, one will not be able to understand. So it is, one has to this practice non-attachment and discharge all the duties, and the six enemies are to be conquered. So now the king understands, but still, as I mentioned, there is the stranglehold of this experience, that he says that this appears to be the real world, you see. This is the real world in my these classes, or anybody's Swami is giving such classes, a potent objection is raised by the listeners that in the real world, does it work? What about this real world? Uh, Now, this, because it has such a stranglehold on our consciousness that it, although unreal, so strongly appears to be real that uh, we fail to understand. This king, therefore, understands a bit, gets a little glimpse, but feels, what is this? He says, oh, that, oh, great yogin, you have stated that they actually felt, and therefore they unerased fatigue and its cause, namely bearing the palanquin, are all only provisional uh, spoken about and have no place in determining the nature of truth. This is a statement which causes confusion in my mind, in everybody's mind, because it is not possible to get rid of the experience immediately. The practice has to be continued for a long, long time till our uh, currents in the brain it gets reversed. The brain chemistry changes, and we are able to see this. So the Bharata replied that it is how is it all delusional? The people actually get bear this load. They get tired. I also get tired when I do lot of work. Everybody experiences this body getting tired, and you say it is delusional, no tiredness. It beats me. Or although what you say, the enlightened one, as just as the potent medicine for a man having fever, your words are curative and bringing rejuvenation to me. Agreed. But I still don't get what you stated. It is difficult to get that. Bharata replies, now analyze. One has to be fearless in this analysis. Mm, what is body? Just think of it. You said the body gets tired. Body is only a moving lump of clay. Mm, from the dust it comes, unto dust it goes. Mm, it is some of the pieces of that are arranged like this that we call his body. Mm. Is it not? See, look at this skeleton that is you can see in many hospitals and orthopedic surgeons places, and in anatomy labs. All you can see this skeleton. What a moving lump of clay, many parts tied over one another. See, it is all an instrument, machine like thing. There is, where in them is the guy who gets tired? Where is the person? Where is the individual who gets tired in any of these things? Hmm. Who gets tired? Oh, I feel tired. A very usual experience of us. Everybody feels, oh, I am very tired today. And sometimes one gets tired without doing anything. It is uh, sometimes we do lot of work, feel tired. Sometimes even after doing lot of work, we don't feel tired. So what is this tiredness? Who gets tired? You say this is factual after all, that these bodies that are bearing the palanquin, they are getting tired because they take the labor. They actually feel that they are tired. How can you rub aside this? Now this is where they, what we see as fact. Yes, it is a fact, but it is not truth. There is a difference between fact and the truth. In fact, again I am using the word fact. In fact, analyzing the fact reveals how they are not true, although we experienced it. So now we have to see that it is what is this? Who gets tired? Uh, think of it. This is just the different parts of body. You call body, this like you make, say, take some bricks and arrange on the top of each other, and then have uh, some structure there. So, what is it? Can you say that it gets tired? You don't call that getting tired. If you make a robot just like this, mm, the in USA, I saw the first robot I saw was at the St. Louis, that there is this bridge. What is the name? I forgot. It's a very nice name. Joining over the Mississippi, and joining the north, south, or east, west, like that. So yes, east and west. So that bridge is there. So that bridge, there is a museum about that bridge. So in that bridge, museum or the office, I entered, and then somebody was saying there, welcome, a nicely well dressed man saying, welcome, welcome. And I thought, really, I also did, well, thank you, thank you. And then I saw it is not a man, it is a machine. It is a robot. So now, does it get tired? Hmm. Can you think of it's getting tired? No. Similarly, this, how can it get tired? What do you talk about? Who gets tired? Think about it. And then he further stretches that analogy. On these parts, there is a wooden contraption called palanquin. Ah, this is these parts, arranged like this. And then there is, they are holding a palanquin, another similar wooden plank, but it gets the name palanquin, hmm, by making certain shapes and putting it to certain use. And Shankaracharya has beautifully analyzed this phenomena, that is how one gets the name, that things become different because of time, space, and functionality. According to the function, one gives names to those things, like a chair. Now, say wood or metal, whatever substance it is, it is given a shape, and then that shape serves a function. So it gets the name chair. Then it gets, that name gets, stretched a lot. Ah, that somebody is, it is said, He is the chair of chemistry at this university. That means you don't sit on that person. It has a different meaning there. So, uh, uh, similarly, this the shape makes that wood as palanquin because it serves that function. So that is how the things differ. So, and there is inside the palanquin another lump called the king. uh, Another such lump called the king. Tell me, where is the difference? Who gets tired? Is this all real? King's understanding gets a jolt. A jolt is necessary. It is. One's ego needs to be shaken, crushed. Mm, the cajoling of the ego should never be done, although it appears to be quite pleasant. If somebody is doing cajoling to the ego, praising may you, oh Swami, you are such a nice person, and you give such nice discourses, whether said sincerely or insincerely, the ego gets a boost by that. Ego needs to be crushed, mercilessly crushed, like Sri Ramakrishna did to M in the right in the first second visit. That no, this is all. M writes there that that was the big blow after blow to ego. So this is a king is being now called what? Another lump of clay. Ah, just as these are lumps of clay, somebody sitting inside, that is also another lump of clay. Ah, this is to be felt. You cannot really get over these things. It is important to know this. And uh, if this is true, then what next? He further tells, scolds the king mm, that uh, all these things, he says that it dissolves, goes back to earth. Unto dust it goes back. Everything that you see, you give name to it, but it is changing all the time. It changes all the time. You can, those who are old enough, they will know that how the body changed from childhood to youth to old age. Even the little children, they say that, look, my height has increased now. So there is always a change which leads gradually to going back to the material. From the earth it has come into unto it, it dissolves, and that earth also is after all dissolves. That also is not permanent. It dissolves into elements and so forth. So it is. So now he gives a further blow to the king, saying, you have the arrogant notion. Remember it, it takes tremendous courage. Where the courage comes from? He wants nothing. He has nothing to gain, nothing to lose. Firmly established in his wisdom and not attached to anything. We are afraid because we are attached. That, oh, then I will lose this. I completely. mistaken understanding. Everything is you are going to lose the body also. It is just a changing phenomena, and we have to learn to accept this. That is, see, you cannot fight with truth as such. Truth is going to conquer. It is the better is to give up the wrong notions that we have against the truth. So he mentions that why you call yourself the king. You have about that lump, you have the notion, arrogant notion that this lump is I and I am the king of Sindhu province. You are making these poor palanquin bearers do forced labor without adequate payment and are thus an extremely cruel man. Yet you call yourself the protector of people? Hmm? All this goes into dust and the dust into its elements. These are just manifestations of the power of God. Hmm? The God alone is real. And this is to be felt with the great uh, force in us that all these they appear and disappear. They are not real. It is a constant practice that God alone is real, and that is to be continued. That is why Sri Ramakrishna says that God realization is the goal of life. It is what it means is God alone is real. All other things are bubbles. Don't get too worried about them. They are just bubbles. Children, play with bubbles. Have you seen? Naomi, did you play with that tube and the sobel of poop they do? And then the bubbles. Now they come, look very nice, but gone. So these are all bubbles. This one bubble gets called as Swami Yogatmananda, one bubble gets called as the book, another as the TV. These are all bubbles. One another bubble is Adi, and another is Vrishali, and all that. So they come, appear, and disappear. There is no substance to them. So, what is real? That is to be seen that soapy water from which they arise and unto which they again dissolve. That alone is there. So, this all arises from God. Mm. Is God and dissolves back in God. And that conviction, friends, is to be cultivated assiduously. It does not come automatically for the reason that I mentioned earlier. Our experience of this multiplicity and attaching one lump of this clay as I and the other is world or you, and thus take this erroneous delusional division to be real, and on the basis of that keep on living this life, then is they all lived in error, and that needs to be changed. It is an error and we know it by the experience of suffering inside it. It is a constant uh, experience of suffering, all so many desires coming up. Every desire actually is an expression of dissatisfaction. If you are satisfied, why will there be another desire? The fact that I have some desire means I am not perfect, I am not satisfied. So, dissatisfaction, so that makes us run here and there to remove this dissatisfaction. And we think that if I get this, then that dissatisfaction will go away. I will be satisfied. And that it is like the mm, horizon, that if I run that house, I see that horizon is right at that house. So if I reach that house, I will reach horizon. But I keep on running, running. I get to that house. The horizon has receded again. And there is, will never be able to catch it. So there is no satisfaction here. Mm. This wisdom dawns on somebody, then you start going back. This was a mistake that I made. So, this is to be seen that not real. All these appearances are illusory appearances. God alone is real. This is all the manifestation of God. And because God is real, these all appear to be real. They create a delusion of reality only because the God in that is real. Tulsidas mentions it in this uh, that Ram Nam Sankirtan where that at our centers, many centers, they do it at least twice in a month. So one line there says that it is yat satvad amrushaiva bhati sakalam rajau yatha her brahma, just as a snake seen on the rope appears real, although there is no snake. It appears to be real snake. Why? Because the rope is real. The reality of rope is superimposed on snake. So that is how we see that the snake is real. So all these forms appear to be real because Rama, the Lord, the God alone is real. So learn to feel that alone is real. This world is unreal, God alone is real. This is to be thought about, meditated upon, must be felt, and ultimately experienced. This is the these are therefore, he says, manifestations of the power of God. Oh, so he mentions there that ultimate truth is the God, Vasudeva or Atman. He is also described as knowledge, absolute purity, and one without a second. It is, yeah. So, therefore, uh, oh, somebody said very nicely, humorous, that uh, Atman is the busiest thing, busiest person, because has not even a second. Is one without a second. There is no time, even a second is not available there. So, how busy that Atman must be. So, one without second. And how one can realize that? It is uh, the only way for the people who are stuck in this world is that close holy company, holy association, association with those who have gone beyond this delusion. So that is why we study these books. We meditate on Sri Ramakrishna because of that holy association, that associating with them without bathing in the dust of the holy man's feet. This enlightenment cannot be had even if you are doing many rituals, studies, and whatnot in the name of religious practice. And we do so much of fasting is done, then certain types of worships are done, but the real potent medication is the dust of holy men's feet. That is what can bring illumination. What it means is that surrendering to them, watching their life, how they live, and thus reflecting and following in their footsteps, that changes our life. And then we will be able to see the truth. Without that, it cannot be seen. This is very much emphasized in all scriptures like Narad Bhakti Sutra, Upanishads, and books like Sri Ramakrishna, Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. That how Holy Company uh, changes our life. Till then, it doesn't get changed, even though we read, study, and meditate. It is that is why the presence of that should be there in our life. So he says, uh, in the company of holy men, there will be continuous discourse on the excellences of the Lord, thus completely eschewing all chances of talks on worldly matters. Continuous discourse means not that the holy man will be always giving lectures, not that their actions is a continuous discourse, how they behave in various different situations, that is the discourse. Hmm. We were having this readings on St. Francis of Assisi, and although that particular sentence I didn't find there, but very similar was although that discussion about preaching, that preaching has to be done, that the through the life of the preacher, the actions should speak. The actions are speak always louder than the words. Otherwise, the words will also not have any impact. It is the how the life and the awareness of the preacher be. So, the statement that is often quoted is this, that Saint Francis said to all that preach all the time, but use words only if necessary. Hmm. The words are not, it is important. The awareness, the life, that carries the importance. So that is how it is a continuous discourse, and that will not allow space for you to think of the worldly matters. Even if you do not derive any positive benefit, but all the negative problems, they can be stalled to a great extent, because you will not have the opportunity to think of the worldly matters. That is the great advantage of it, that, oh Swami, what shall I do coming here? There is uh, I can do that in the at home. See where the mind goes in the at when you are at home. It gets distracted to so many worldly things. Here even though you may not get anything positive that you can feel, but to a great extent, they running after the sense pleasures that gets checked. So that is the benefit, and that gradually changes one's life. Other things that you may be doing, but they do not cut the ice at all. That uh, therefore he says that I was in another birth a king named Bharata who abandoned attachment for everything in the world, and the next, and he abandoned the attachment for everything here and the next, and took to the exclusive worship of the divine. But due to my prarabdha, I got attached to a deer, and as a result, had a spiritual downfall. In my next birth, I became a deer. He is telling the king that what happens. See my story. So because of power gained by the worship of Lord, so I am very suspicious about the evil consequences of contact with others, and I have therefore been trying to move about in obscurity without attachment for anything. With the sword of knowledge obtained by spiritually fruitful association with holy men, one should cut off the infatuation for the world. This is the infatuation, the attachment needs to be uh, cut asunder, and let us not make it a beautiful thing. The making the attachment look like a nice attachment. That is what we do. We give it nice name that it is love. What love? Do we have the capacity to love? Our selfishness manifests as love. We like something to do, and then we get pulled into it, get attached to it, and then give it the name love, compassion. So many the nice names are used just to hide the hideous truth that we are attached. So therefore it is very important not to get into these things, howsoever attractive they may feel. Then it is described that this is the forest of samsara, that we get caught in otherwise. If we do not hold on to Lord, there is no escape. We keep on moving into this birth after birth. Nobody says that none ever reaching the end of it. Because it is all unreal. How can you ever reach the end of, say, the howsoever fast a car runs that you see in the movie? It never crosses the screen, you know. It is howsoever fast it may run, it is always on the screen. So, like that, when one sees this truth, then only one can get out of it. There is no finishing this labyrinth. It is just knowing that it doesn't exist. What the great saint Mirabai called that they uh, here uh, this I wanted to cross this ocean of transmigration, Bhavasagar, but when I saw the Lord, that ocean has dried. I didn't need. Fikr nahi mohe tairan ki. Now I do not have to worry about crossing this ocean because it is all God. So that realization is what is mentioned here. So we have been studying the story, very inspiring story of Bharata going through all these stages and how one attains the knowledge we saw from his advice. From the next class that will be in 2023. So we shall take up another story from Bhagavatam. So we shall uh, chant this concluding verse, and then if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. निगमकल्पतरुर्गलितं फलं शुकमुखादमृतद्रवसंयुतं पिबत भागवतं रसमालयं मुहुर्मुहुः रसिका भुवि भावुकाः. O devotees, quaff, quaff to intoxication this nectar of the fruit of the tree of Vedas flowing from the mouth of the great sage Shuka and mixed with the ambrosia from his word. Any question? Any question up there?
Yes, there are two web questions. First question is from Shubha.
Yes, Shubha, namaskar.
Pranam Swamiji. Under the philosophy which says God, who is both Saguna and Nirguna, has become this world, then doesn't it become a bit difficult to practice titiksha?
The last part I could not get. Please
Okay.
repeat that.
Then doesn't it become a bit difficult to practice titiksha?
Well, it becomes difficult because this is the God is both Saguna and Nirguna with these epithets and without them. All these attributes they belong to God, so that is the God who is Saguna, and then that is Nirguna. So to learn to see God in that, that is the practice of detachment, and that will make us, uh, practice these virtues of detachment, because that is God, but the form has to be transcended. So one has to see God in all of that. So the form has to be transcended. That is something that needs to be done. That which changes is not real. That is, it is a bit difficult, of course, but the difficult things are there in this world that we do more difficult things. This is comparatively less difficult. Even to pass the class 12th exam, one has to study right from the kindergarten, to spend 14 years and to pass that silly 12th exam. So, compared to that, this is much easier to practice this devotion to either you can call it Saguna or call it Nirguna. Both are actually the different facets. You cannot have Saguna without Nirguna and cannot have Nirguna without Saguna. So both of these are real. It is very important to grasp both of them. So that is the idea.
Second question is from Sarojini Raju.
Yes,
Pranam Swamiji.
pranam.
How to know if our mind has become pure? Because pure mind experiences the Atman.
Yes. How to know our mind has become pure? When there is absolutely no desire arising, only God is present. It is filled with bliss and love for all. Then our mind has become pure. There is not the least desire. That is how Upanishads describe it. That is the Brahman. That mind is same as Brahman. You are very correct in stating that the pure mind and the pure Atman are one and the same. Exactly. Thank you. So we shall conclude with this closing chant. But today there is something more. Being the last class of this year 2022, we shall say a goodbye to 2022, although actually it is tomorrow night we should say it. But tomorrow, well, we don't have any particular program, so we shall have it today. We shall sing Old Lang Syne after the concluding chant, and then we shall have the fortune cookies and some apple cider. So, of course, those who are the online listeners, they will be deprived of this till the artificial intelligence comes to that level where these can be distributed online also. So, till then, they have to be satisfied with up to this. So, let us do the concluding prayer. मुकुंद माधव गोविंद बोल केशव माधव हरि हरि बोल मुकुंद माधव गोविंद बोल केशव माधव हरि हरि बोल हरि हरि बोल हरि हरि बोल कृष्ण कृष्ण बोल कृष्ण कृष्ण बोल कृष्ण कृष्ण बोल कृष्ण कृष्ण बोल मुकुंद माधव गोविंद बोल केशव माधव हरि हरि बोल केशव माधव हरि हरि बोल. There will be on 1st of January a Kalpataru Day celebration from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. So those who would like to come, please do come. And it will also be telecast online.
Should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind? Should old acquaintance be forgot and old lang syne? For old lang syne, my friend, for old lang syne, we'll take a cup of kindness yet for old lang syne. And surely you'll buy your pint cup, and surely I'll buy mine, and we'll take a cup of kindness yet for old lang syne. For old lang syne, my friend, for old lang syne, we'll take a cup of kindness yet for old lang syne. We two have run about the hills and picked the daisies fine, but we wandered many a weary foot since old lang syne. For old lang syne, my friend, for old lang syne, we'll take a cup of kindness yet for old lang syne. We two have paddled in the stream from morning sun till dawn, but seas between us broad have rolled since old lang syne. For old lang syne, my dear, for old lang syne, we'll take a cup of kindness yet for old lang syne. And there's a hand, my trusty friend, and give me a hand of thine, and we'll take a right gold draught for old lang syne. For old lang syne, my dear, for old lang syne, we'll take a cup of kindness yet for old lang syne. For old lang syne, my dear, for old lang syne, we'll take a cup of kindness yet for old lang syne. Nobody joined. Yeah. And surely you'll fit up your glass, for surely I left mine. We'll drink a cup of kindness yet since old lang syne. For old lang syne, my dear, for old lang syne, we'll take a cup of kindness yet for old lang syne. Okay, so where's my cup?